Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and in the second part of our slap bass for beginners series, I want to talk about the slap bass player's secret weapon. If you're looking at how to develop the speed into your slap bass playing, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and welcome to the second part of our slap bass for beginners series. So I'm wondering, have you ever heard a slap bass line which sounds a little bit like this? And wondered how on earth you get the speed into it? Well, there is one technique which is absolutely integral to the world of slap bass, and that is the hammer-on. And so we're going to deep dive into that in this lesson today and show you how to go about developing this really important technique. So before we jump into the lesson content, I just want to let you know one really important piece of news from the world of eBassGuitar. We have just launched a brand new 14-day trial for our Bass Lab Plus. So if you're looking for a bass guitar program which is designed for the beginner to intermediate bass player, which doesn't assume your Jaco Pastores, which is gonna help you play the bass lines you love, make sure you click the link in the description below to grab your free 14-day trial. Secondly, there is a completely free PDF that comes with this lesson. So if you want to see all of the exercises that we covered today written out in standard notation and tab, make sure you click the link in the description below. In the first part of this slap bass for beginners series, we talked about how to go about playing slap bass in a band and the important elements of doing that. We looked at creating the thump like that with the thumb and the snap or the pluck with the plucking hand. Now we want to look at the hammer-on, and this is largely a left hand technique, and this really is the slap bass player's secret weapon, because without this we wouldn't be able to develop the speed into our playing, because there literally is a limit to how fast we can get these techniques out on our right hand if you're a right-handed bass player. So the first thing I want to do to develop the hammer-on is show you how to integrate it into the octave pattern that we discussed in the previous lesson. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a G here at the 3rd fret and a G there at the 5th fret like that. And just remember, just get the thumb and the pluck going like that to begin with. Now we want to put a hammer on in there, and what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the F at the 3rd fret and hammer on. To do this, all we literally do is play the note and literally push down with our 3rd or our 4th finger. I prefer doing this with a 4th finger. You need to do it with quite a bit of strength, so it might take a little bit of time to develop the sound in there, but literally just practice it to begin with like this. It's natural for the second note to be a little quieter, because when you get it up to speed, you won't really hear that volume difference. So let's put this into a pattern now so you can practice this in context. So what we're going to do is we're going to do thumb like this for a quarter note, and then we're going to do 2 8th notes like this. The really important thing is to practice this in time, because the hammer-ons which come from your left hand really do need precision with their timing. Sometimes there's this misconception that the timing comes from the right hand because that's where you're plucking, but really both hands are absolutely integral to developing our internal sense of time and rhythm between the hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a drum pattern here at 85 beats per minute, and I'm just going to practice that one pattern to begin with. And what you want to do is just get that feeling really foundational, really solid, and so you can play it effortlessly for 2 or 3 minutes without thinking about it. Now, the next stage is to literally put it across a scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard G minor scale and go up the scale like this. So playing it twice to A, and what this will practice is creating the notes at different areas of the fingerboard, because it will feel different depending on the length of the string. So what I'm going to do is now try this with the drum goof, because it's always really important to try this stuff absolutely bang in time. So it's important to practice that goes ascending and descending using the scale pattern, because that will really show if we're fluent across the whole of the neck. Now, you may have noticed me doing something with my first finger, both of which is absolutely fine. When we play this octave, we can go like that with our first finger and then move across to the F. And that's absolutely fine to do that at slow tempos. When we speed it up, you'll probably want to be able to bar across that. So what I do at speed is like that, and then I rock over like that. So it's literally just barring with my first finger. But the important thing right at this stage of the game is to get the accuracy with the hammer-on and be able to play it slowly and in time. So let's move on to the next stage of the lesson now. We've already got it functioning well using the box shape. Now we want to learn how to hammer on using the open strings. This is really, really important because this is one of the ways of getting the speed in there. Because what happens is when you speed up an open string, it starts to just become a percussive effect rather than a pitch. So at the slow tempos we're working with, you'll really clearly hear the open strings in there. But once you get it up to the tempo, doing that, you actually just hear it as more of this kind of percussive effect, literally more like a drummer than anything else. But we need to work slowly and get this in time to begin with. So the first exercise is really, really simple. What we want to do is go from the E string like this, and then hammer on to the G at the 3rd fret, and literally do this with 8th notes. You can do this with any finger. I would suggest practicing it with all the fingers. And you need to make sure that is absolutely in time and consistent. Once you've got that comfortable, this is where it gets a little bit more challenging. We want to do this across all of the open strings. If you remember back to the previous lesson, the first part of this slap bass for beginners series, I said the trick is to be able to use the thumb technique on all 4 of the strings, because so many players just fall into this trap of being able to do it on the E and the A string brilliantly, but losing the sound on the D and the G because the strings get thinner and harder to play. So what I'm going to do is develop an exercise with you now so you can get comfortable doing that. And that's just to take the same pattern and literally play it through all 4 of the strings. Now the challenge with this is to get the muting right, and it's easier to mute when you're using different fingers. I find this exercise actually easier to mute when you're on the 3rd finger. But make sure that volume is consistent across all 4 strings. Now, as always, let's try this with the drums so we can make sure we can play this in time. So that is much, much trickier than it looks, but it is the key to getting the accuracy with the thumb and the coordination between the thumb and the hammer on with the left hand. So guys, if you're enjoying this lesson, make sure you check out the Bass Lab Plus over at eBassGuitar. This is a step-by-step bass program designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass player. So if you're looking to rock out at home and improve your bass playing, or if you're even looking to join the worship team or join your first band, this is a program which is going to take you through all of the skills from playing your very first notes all the way through to creating really fluent walking bass lines. The key thing about this program is it's really, really easy to understand, and it doesn't assume you're Jaco Pastorius before you take a lesson. So it's really, really accessible, and the content is designed to really get results very, very fast. What I'd love you to do is to click the link in the description below to take it for a test drive to grab your free 14-day trial. So to wrap up this lesson, I want to show you how to combine all of the techniques that we've covered in this Slap Bass for Beginners series. So I want to show you how to combine the thumb, the pluck, and the hammer on. When you can get all three of these techniques working together, this is where the speed and all that sort of percussive brilliance that you hear in slap bass playing comes from. So I'm going to show you an exercise which is absolutely core and integral. And when you hear this speeded up, you'll absolutely hear how this fits into the world of slap bass. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a triplet, which is 3 notes per beat. There are lots of triplets in slap bass playing because the thumb, the pluck, and the hammer are literally 3 individual sounds, so they work well as a triplet, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with an open string, and then we're going to hammer on, and then we're literally going to hit the octave at the top. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that is the first exercise to try. Just try it really slowly. Put a metronome on if it will help you. Just literally get it going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What I want to do just quickly is literally speed this up as well. So we're going to go. And I want you to notice how the G's are the overarching sound that we hear within there. This open E, like that, actually just becomes more of this percussive effect. And when you start doing that, you can bounce off all of the open strings like that. So it's an incredibly versatile effect to add speed into your bass playing. So once you've got that really comfortable, I suggest taking it through the G minor scale again. So back again, speed up a little bit. Of course, remember to concentrate on the muting as well, because you might get a few extraneous open strings ringing there. So what I'm going to do just to finish this lesson off is I'm going to take that one little idea of thumb, pluck, and hammer, put a drum groove on, and just show you some ideas that you can play using that particular concept. Not all of these are triplets, I will add, but it's literally the same concept that we're using, the same piece of coordination that I'm encouraging you to get down. So let's put the drum groove on at 85 BPM. So guys, that's the end of today's bass guitar lesson. If you're looking to push your bass playing forward, make sure you check out the Bass Lab Plus over at eBassGuitar. There's a link in the description below where you can grab a free 14-day trial, so you can take our syllabus designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass player for a test drive completely free for 14 days. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar, and I'll catch you next time.